Welcome to the Cousins. What's up?
We haven't been really together
No,
much lately.
in a lot of years, probably.
We should probably get a picture of this for posterity and all.
For the record, you guys are my cousins.
Yep.
True.
Yep.
I mean,
all his life.
somebody fact check me on that. You guys are a little older than me.
Yeah,
44, 45,
Thanks for saying that I'm just a little older than you. I appreciate that.
44, 45.
I'm 45.
44.
Yeah.
So I remember having an Atari,
Yeah.
but that was not my system. My system was Nintendo, but then it was really Super Nintendo.
Actually, Atari wasn't my system.
And television was
Television
yours.
was
Yes.
mine.
Yes.
Right?
So-
I played Atari at Dwayne's house.
Right. We had the Atari. He had the Intellivision. I love baseball and Intellivision.
Yeah. That's a game that not many people know about.
Right. Or a system that they even know exists. Wasn't it called something else? ColecoVision.
Yeah, I don't
Wasn't
remember.
that something like similar to that? I think that was the same thing.
Maybe?
So I'm 40, and I vaguely remember Atari. I do remember the Pong, and I remember the joysticks
don't-
and everything.
Do you remember Decathlon?
Yes.
That was actually an endurance sport.
Yes.
You had to move that thing back and forth over the 1,500 meter.
The 1,500 meter. The
Like
first,
till your arm does not exist anymore. Like
the first
you
what
lost
it-
feeling.
Like the first 1,200 meters is just tap, tappa, 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 keep it up a good pace, and then sprint.
Yes.
Yeah.
Many a shoulder sprain, many a sling worn in class pictures and family photos because of decathlon.
Well, and that's a testament to how well those Atari joysticks were put together, right? Because I remember that back and forth going all around and all that.
Yeah, back and forth, and you just had the one button. So
And,
Yeah.
and all the guys that are listening to this right now that are nodding their head, we see you.
Yeah.
We see you.
So I do remember the Atari a little bit. But do you guys remember when the Atari came about? Do you guys remember like when you first got the Atari and the excitement that came with that, or was that more when it was Nintendo?
Nintendo was like the big Christmas experience kind of thing.
like in television was my dad's system, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, we had it as far back as I can remember. I don't even know where it came from, and my dad and his buddies would play it more than me, and I just got to like when they weren't.
Yeah, so it kind of carried over from your dad.
Yeah, right.
And actually, you know, your love of music, I think, also carried over from your dad as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we played all kinds of stuff. Had bands in the basement and cake parties, and yeah, it was.
And Dwayne's going to remember this well, but I used to look forward to, again, I'm a little bit younger than you guys. I'm 40, you guys are 44, 45. But I remember at Christmas time, you got to think about the time period. I would actually get, and I still have some actually, get cassette tapes.
Yes.
Cassette tapes of handwritten, recorded songs from albums.
Yeah.
You know, it's much different now with the technology and everything, and everything's at our disposal, and it's just a click away. In those times, those tapes were like gold to me.
Yeah, me too.
So
I could spot him across the room. That's Uncle James' handwriting.
And I, sometimes, he would make some for me as well, and I would like hear him recording them, in the other room, and then later I would have that kind of like a playlist on cassette.
So it seems like an obvious question, but is that where your love of music started?
Absolutely. And I listened to K-She, kind of was the station, and all growing up, and then one day our music kind of does a split, separates,
I know it. Up until a certain point, I kind of listened to the same thing Dad did, and Dad kind of listened to the same stuff we did. I liked some of his country music and like the Bob Segers and that old rock and roll stuff. He liked some of the newer stuff at the time. He liked Guns N' Roses. He liked Bon Jovi and stuff like that. But then Nirvana came out, right? And to me, it was turn it up, and he was turn that off. You can't even understand what the guy's saying. And so, like Pearl Jam later on had a song called "Not for You." Like, this is not for you, and that's what they were saying. Like, across this line, like, this is for us. This is for Generation X. Parents, you're not supposed to understand this. And every generation does that. Every generation does that. And same thing with saying that this generation of kids is lazy, which, by the way, these damn generation of kids is lazy. But our parents thought we were lazy because all we did was play video games all day long. And their parents thought they were lazy because all they did was listen to the radio all day long. And their parents thought they were lazy because all they did was watch TV all day long. So it was always something.
See, I actually disagree with that sentiment. I think this generation now, the term work smarter, not harder. I think these kids grew up on game systems and they grew up hacking internet sites. And I think it's actually generation coming up might be some of the most important maybe one of the most important generations to exist in a long time.
I mean, I see that because of technology and the way that it's advancing. Like people say, well, they don't even teach math the same anymore. They don't have to. We have calculators now. All
Yeah.
you really need to teach a kid is what the numbers look like.
I got a quote for you,
Okay.
and I want to see if you can guess who said this.
All right, great.
All right.
I love this game.
The children now love luxury. They have bad manners, contempt for authority. They show disrespect for elders, and they show and love chatter in place of exercise. Children now are tyrants, not servants of their household. They no longer rise when elders enter the room. They contradict their parents, chatter before company, cross their legs, and tyrannize their teachers. Okay, this is a quote about the next generation, basically.
Okay, can I have a hint as a like?
Oh,
What realm would I know this guy from?
they probably said that about baby boomers or something.
Right? Think of Bill and Ted's.
Oh, Abraham Lincoln?
No,
No, I thought one of the guys.
even older,
Napoleon,
even older.
Genghis Khan,
Socrates.
Socrates. Oh, Socrates. All right, yeah, Socrates.
Socrates, right? They have been saying that about the next generation
Yes.
for 2,000 years or something. So it's not going to be any different. And Chad thinks differently now because he's older. So
Right.
didn't think that before, but now it's
Well,
like, oh.
you know, there's a country song called "I'm Too Old to Die Young Now," and I think I've crossed that bridge now, guys. I'm not getting old anymore. I'm just old. The getting part is past tense.
Well, but Chad, you weren't saying actually that you really think they are lazy. You just think that they're important generation. Is that what you're saying?
I don't think they're lazy. I think they're working smarter.
Oh yes, I totally agree. with that.
They're and I call it hacking, but it's hacking. It's just being smarter about things. Like it's hard for me not to bring up Wall Street. It's one of my passions, and you guys as well. But with this AMC and GameStop stuff, dude, they found a way to hack or to figure out the game and play it better than all these old white gray-haired dudes that have been doing it forever. And I think it comes back to playing games and figuring out better strategies and working smarter and not harder. I don't think they're lazy at all. It just looks a lot different.
Actually, I had a really smart guy say this to me once in a work kind of environment. But why make an easy job look hard? If the job is easy, you know, if somebody walk by, they might think you're doing nothing, right? You're just sitting there. But
We always want to justify what we're doing and justify our jobs.
When
That's why people are so scared of some in the workplace and in the industries and in the manufacturing. They're so scared of robots taking over. Maybe they should.
when I was in the radio business, we switched over from a CD format to an all digital format. We had a computer that now played the commercials for us, played the music for us, and told us when to talk with the countdown clock. I could hit a button and not have anything to do for 55 minutes. Okay. The boss would come upstairs and say, every time I come up here, you're either doing your homework or reading a book or looking at the internet or doing this. And I was like, you paid almost $30,000 to upgrade our technology. Why don't you want us to use it? Just because I don't have to sit here like you sat here and played records when, you know, the industry has evolved. Don't fault me for the technology.
Right.
We would have all taken raises instead and sat here and pushed play on a CD player. But we got this equipment instead. We're going to utilize it to its abilities.
And Whack, I think you have a great perspective on this in that you actually worked in the manufacturing field. I'm sure you've seen from the time that you were there, you've seen where it was probably a lot of it was done by hand. You know, maybe even recently, a lot of machines came in and did the work that used to be done by hand.
Oh yeah, I've seen it just in the place that I worked for 20 years. When I started there were a whole bunch of people with these huge tables, and they would run a drill down a metal gauge that slowly got smaller, this gap in between two pieces until it stopped, and they had marked on it what size it was. And we got from that to not having any of those people or using any of that space and having a machine use a laser to measure the diameter of a drill. It could run 24 hours a day. It doesn't call in sick. It's it's there all the time. It's more accurate. It doesn't make mistakes as much. Yeah, it's a big deal. Changes where companies distribute their investments. So now I don't have to pay a bunch of people to do this, but I might have to pay a engineer to fix the machine or to program the machine.
So I bring up the gaming systems for a reason, because that's what we've seen in our lifetime. If you put a video game on right now, we're surrounded by a couple screens right now. If you put a video game on, a current video game or a brand new PS5 or whatever it is, it's going to be hard to tell the difference between what real life is and what the video game is.
Especially when we get in that VR.
And you get in the metaverse and the meta world, and we're talking a whole new thing. So we've actually seen that through. We went from Pong and joysticks, and even before that, to where our reality is literally going to change.
I have heard, and I don't know how true this is, but just something I've heard. Just like how when people were going around town and doing Pokemon, right? Capture
Yeah,
and stuff,
yeah.
right? Well, I heard that there's going to be almost like a Mario world where you can go around and collect these coins and then actually spend them to buy things.
I can't wait for that. I'm excited for it.
But-
I love the throwback. I love the retro. I love talking I think the 90s were a freaking great time. I was there. I lived. I bought the shirt and everything, right? But I love where we're headed for the future. And I think a lot of it has to do with these younger kids.
Yeah.
I mean, the person who's going to change the world next is like in 2nd or 3rd grade right now.
I give a lot of credit to the millennials, actually. And millennials now are about 40 years old. I think Chad's probably at the edge of millennials or so.
Yeah, I don't know what that cutoff is.
It's like, an 80 or something, or
Okay.
somewhere around there. But they were the ones that went to college and spent and got this debt and then couldn't get a job afterward. And they said, we got to find a way to make money. And they're the ones that come up with DoorDash and things like that, right? A way that we can be of service and make money individually, maybe not even with a company. And that's what's changing the world, I believe.
When I first heard of businesses like DoorDash, I don't know, I guess kind of embarrassed. I didn't think of it first because we always thought, man, why is pizza and Chinese the only food to deliver?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like a burger.
But I never, but then never thought that you could just have an independent contractor go to those places for you. You know, it didn't have to be delivered from the business. It could just be someone driving the car around.
Yeah.
But with the technology thing, I remember when I was first offered a computer class in school, it wasn't until I was a freshman in high school. And one of the first things the teachers told me, and this is probably why I jumped off the bandwagon, because this kind of stuff, electronics and numbers, and that was kind of in my wheelhouse. But the teacher said on the first day, what I'm going to teach you today will be obsolete tomorrow because of how fast this technology was evolving. That you could buy a computer in the back of a Walmart, and by the time you get to the front register, it's obsolete. It's got something faster. And I thought to myself, I don't want to just keep relearning shit. Like, hey, everything that you learned last semester, done. Forget it. It's completely done now. We got a whole new way of doing it. And I was like, that just seems like like Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill, and it keeps rolling back down. And I was like, and I'm out. I can learn how to type, and I'm out of this. I'm not going to try to learn it anymore. But there's a lot of advanced math that you learn, in the course of studying in one of those fields. And it turns out really all you learn by 2nd grade, addition and subtraction.
Yeah, but I see a lot of people using a calculator to add up 2-digit numbers.
Okay, the other day I'm going to
Hold on.
2-digit to a 2-digit, like 54 to 30.
Yes.
I got to use a calculator.
I was at a gas station around the area. I don't want to name names, but it was Circle K in Bonne Terre. And so my total was $8.89, and I gave the man a $20 bill, and I laughed. I went, "Hey, my change is going to be $11.11. That's my birthday." And the guy was like, "I don't know, maybe."
No,
And I just kind of dropped my head, and I was like, "It's not maybe, sir. That's exact. It's going to be 11:11."
Yeah.
And then he hits the buttons, and he was like, "Well, all right, man, you were right." And I was like, "You didn't know that?" And he's like, "I really wasn't very good at math in high school." I was like, "That was what you learned in elementary school, man. That's subtraction. That's subtraction."
What really screws them up is when you give them more money. Like if you want to get back like a whole 5
Yeah.
instead of
Oh man, that's happened to me too.
like if it's like 16.25 and you give them 21.25, they're like, "Why are you giving me so much money? I have no clue."
Driving through McDonald's, $5.86 is the total. I give the guy a 10 and a 1 so I can get a 5 back. He's holding them both in his hands, like just so confused. Like, "Sir, you've given me too much money."
I said, just put it in.
Just type the numbers in, man. Just type the
tell you what
numbers
to
in.
do.
It's like, is that your car over there with the handicap plates? It is, isn't it? It is, isn't it? We have diversified our portfolio. We couldn't contain all this content under Chris Sabo's goggled umbrella. Join us from the barn for new content such as Girl Dad, Vulgar Display of Podcasts, Wax World, and coming soon, a brand new podcast from the original 3 from the Chris Sabo Power Hour. They discuss mass murder, serial killers, assassinations, and our fascination surrounding it. Join Chad, Chuck, and Dwayne and get skinned and get skinned and get skinned and get skinned.
Locked in the basement of a rat shack. Don't get to see no light. Locked in a smoky little grotto. Just trying to get it right. It's the trash town boogie. Play it tonight. Yeah, it's the trash town boogie. Gotta play just right. What's the tequila on it?
That kind of makes me think of the thing that you sent the other day with Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, Neil. Yeah. Did you want to talk about that?
One of the things that really bothers me is pushy salesmen. Can't stand it. They want to come and tell you about everything and try to get you to force you to, buy this over that, and I just want them to leave me alone, and I'll let them know. It's very rude to say, leave me alone, or I'll let you know when I need you, is what I would usually go to. But Neil deGrasse Tyson said something the other day that was a better way to articulate it, but to get the same point across. He said, you walk into the store and they say, can I help you find something? And he said that if you help me find something I'm looking for, that will prevent me from finding the thing I'm not looking for, which will lead to me spending less money at your store. I think that's brilliant.
Fucking A, man.
Right? Because how many times do you walk around? Maybe it's not something you went to the store for, right? But you see it and it's an impulse buy, or maybe even change your mind of what you're going for and go with this other thing.
Well,
and
whole stores are set up that way. They want to keep you. It's like the casino. They want to keep you in there.
yeah,
They
yeah.
don't want you out the door.
right, that's why they put the milk in the back or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you put the milk in the parking lot,
Right.
you're not going to sell half as much as you normally do.
It's why the only part of Walmart that's carpeted is the clothing department. Because you walk around in that hard concrete all the time, and then you see the clothing department. Oh, that carpet looks good to be soft on my feet. It's like it just draws you in.
And it's something. It's unconscious. It's something you
Yes.
don't think about.
There have been studies, and it's the concept of ergonomics and like all these deep studies of what makes people go in a certain direction when they get into a store, and that's why like little clip strips are hung at a certain eye level, and that's why kids stuff is right on the exit on your way out the door. Man, they trick us into doing all kinds of shit that we don't want to do.
I got a question for you because you used to stock shelves.
Yeah.
Why do they change so often? It seems like every time I go into Walmart, they're moving things to a different place. Is that
Because-
part of that? They want you to think you're coming into a new store and seeing new things?
The company that I worked for when I was counting, doing inventory, like I didn't even know the industry existed until I got the job, really. I mean, Dick was working there prior and he was the one to help me get the job. But like, I was wondering why doesn't Walmart do their own inventory? And it turns out it's because department managers' bonuses were based on inventory and their shrinkage. And so these guys would end up going to leaving Walmart for another career or whatever. And the next department manager would do their inventory legit. And it would be off by what what this guy said he had, because he was fudging his own numbers to get him a bigger bonus.
So you needed an outside agency or an outside source
Yes.
to checks and balances, basically.
Yes.
In the inventory business, which is one of those things I kind of became an expert at that had no training on, or necessarily, but if you're going to do one where it's controlled, you don't want people responsible for the numbers counting. Going back to your story, if the department manager was responsible for the numbers or benefited anyway, you don't want him counting because there's a reason that he might want to fudge the numbers a little bit.
So is that quality control then?
It's
right?
a quality control. Yeah, it's like if an auditor came in, they would want to know you had controls in place, counting a second time if you didn't get a count that matched or something like that. So there has to be controls for a legitimate inventory.
Yeah, it was hard to count sometimes your numbers were going to be off because while we're counting, people are shopping.
That's the hardest thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And so, by the time you come by to check my numbers, somebody could have bought something from my section.
Now they have to record what time you did it to see.
Right.
Now I don't know if that person had it in a cart for 3 hours before they
Yes.
got out,
Right.
and
So that's why we were given in an open store, you were given a 2% leeway,
Yeah.
or a 2 piece per 100,
Right.
2 piece per 100 leeway.
usually you would shut down. You would make sure nothing's moving, nothing's coming in or out, and do it after hours or something.
Yes, the only store that we counted while it was open. Well, no, Walmart and Dollar General were open while we were doing it. But other stores like Dillard's and stuff, we wouldn't start counting until they were closed. Man, do we know how to party or what?
Yeah. You want about insurance next?
Quality control, buddy. I want to go back to when we were younger.
Hey, look at this picture of me when I was younger. Man, every picture of you is when you're younger.
There's a few up there when we were younger.
You know, we were all completely frightened by your father.
I hear this.
Yes. Now this guy today, there's no like, it doesn't seem there's no like evil bone in his body. He's kind of a goofy uncle that you laugh at, right?
Yeah.
But when we were younger, it was those goddamn kids, you know, and just he wasn't very pleasant.
And you know what? I felt the same way. I feel the same way. He's reinvented himself. He's reinvented himself over the years, right? He's become something else now. He's a grandpa now. He's a teddy bear. But yeah, there were times where my friends always liked my mom. She was more personable and more social and enjoyed being around kids, I think. Yeah, the dad not so much. Because you're similar in age, you guys grew up very close.
Yep.
And you had younger brothers, and then kind of me in the middle there. But we all kind of grew up as one. I mean, you guys, I've said this several times, but you guys felt like my brothers growing up and still do. You know, there are definitely themes to our childhood, music being one of them, but sports being a huge one of them as well. And we kind of joke about the wiffle ball thing, but I mean, how many hours did we spend playing wiffle ball? How many hours
kept
did we?
stats, man.
Yeah,
we kept stats.
We had a season in the summer.
We had
right.
season.
I bet we played more wiffle ball than anyone our age in the state.
Easy. I still want to play wiffle ball. When I first saw Chad's house, I said, "Wow, you could put a wiffle ball field up here." And you really could, you know. Just saying,
Well,
it's not hard.
It was every day when we weren't rained out, pretty much in the summer.
Yeah.
Until we went back to school, and even weekends and stuff after that.
I don't even know. Do kids still play wiffle ball? I know I see them every once in a while at Walmart.
It's funny that we started this thing off talking about video games, and now we're talking about wiffle ball, and that brings me to my point. Why has there never been a wiffle ball video game?
Man, you could get some wicked curves.
Man, I mean, with the
Some
motion
wicked
with the
action.
motion capture controllers and the Wii controllers and stuff, a wiffle ball game would be badass.
Patent pending.
Like you get to unlock like bats, like the big red bat, or you get to put tape on your balls, or stuff like that. Unlock different fields.
Where do you think? Where did that come from? Is it just something that we did to stay active? I really don't know. Did it?
We were huge baseball fans at the time. I would say we all played summer ball or something. Baseball was a way of life around here a little bit.
Aren't we lucky? I mean, it's got to be because it's the Cardinals. I just don't know of other places that are like this. I mean, baseball it's it.
So I sort of have a theory about that. Why it was? I do agree that we're a baseball town and city and state, right? And baseball is very popular in our area. That's something else we could talk about. Or go ahead.
I was thinking about with the video games and how close we all were. I remember that when I beat Mike Tyson for the first time in Mike Tyson's Punch Out, the first thing I did was call Jason.
Well, that was a big deal.
It was a big
It
deal.
was.
If you did that, you were a neighborhood hero.
Yeah. Like I had heard other people and I had seen people beat him, but I had to that point had never done it. And then when I did, I was so happy. And growing up on Grant Street, C-Barn used to be a video store called Movies and More Movies, and we got we rented a lot of movies and video games from there. And there was days that me and Dick would go out there and pick out a video game and just play it all gosh dang day until we thought that we were at least top 3 in the world. And then we would finally invite Jason over to help us, to come play the game with us, and he'd just start beating our ass, and it just pissed me off. It does. I'm mad now.
I bet still to
I'm
this
mad
day
now.
you owe thousands of dollars in late fees to Movies and More.
Well, they knew where the games
They
were. They
went out
could
of
have came and
business.
got them at any time. I'll tell you one thing we did. Remember the really shitty system, the Sega Saturn?
No,
Okay.
I was never a Sega guy.
We got a Sega Saturn one year, and there was a demo game that came with the system called Nights in the Dreams. It was kind of like Sonic, but in the sky, right? These guys flew, and there was like a dream sequence or whatever. Well, the demo version was only the first level of the game, and we really got to where we were pretty good at that one level. We wanted to play more of the game, but we didn't want to go spend like $80 for one of the games. Sega Saturn, one of the first systems to use compact discs as part of the system.
Yeah, I remember.
What we did was we went and rented Nights in the Dreams from Movies and More. And when we took it back, we put the demo version in there, and no one ever knew until now.
I got a couple.
Statute of limitations run out on that one.
We better hope so.
I got a couple for you. RBI Baseball, Baseball Simulator,
Baseball Simulator.
and
Baseball Stars.
Baseball
Baseball
Stars.
Stars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Baseball Stars had the real players, right? Is that the one am I thinking about the right one?
Baseball Stars had like
RBI
themed-
Baseball had the real
Yes.
ones.
Yes.
Baseball Stars had like a Hollywood team and like
Yeah.
a
But-
a horror
but-
movie team
yeah,
and a
but-
girl team and stuff.
But they were the first one, I think, that had like whole seasons where that kept some of the stats.
Yes.
I didn't keep all the stats because I kept my own on paper.
But because by God, you better push in reset while you're turning it off, or it's going to erase the whole damn season, and we'll have to start all over. Right?
Those old systems were definitely moody. You had to learn how to work with them. You had to know all the ins and outs and how to get around. Some games not being able to start, and everybody's kind of heard of the blowing in the cartridge kind of thing. But there was so much more to that.
That was what the point that I was just about to make, because everything that's happened had to happen for a first time. Okay, like, can you imagine the reaction of the guy who heard a parrot talk back for the first time? Like, what the fuck? Was that the bird? Did the bird just fucking talk? So I mean, that had to blow
nobody-
his,
Yeah,
like,
sure,
what?
Sharon. Blame it on the bird.
Nobody heard that bird just talk.
Right, like, did that bird just repeat what I said? What the fuck, man? Like, somebody wrote down LOL for the first time, you know what I mean? And had to explain it means laughing out loud. But someone out there blew in a Nintendo cartridge the first time and was like, it worked. By the way, it doesn't work, okay? But you just think that it does. It's like thinking people are clutch in baseball. You really don't. They're really not clutch. If you're a 300 hitter, you're a 300 hitter in pressure situations. It averages out. But you don't only think about the times they succeeded. We don't think about the times Derek Jeter struck out. We think about when he got the base hit.
Yeah, blowing in it did not work more than it worked.
Right.
Oh, I disagree.
Probably more harm than
Really?
good, because you're just spitting in it. you know?
Yeah. I mean, you would blow in it like 4 or 5 times, and then it would work.
Oh,
right?
you mean just like a one time?
Yeah, like a one time. It wasn't like a one time and done thing.
I kind
Somebody
of
would blow in it and you go, no, move.
And you got to push
That's
it
how
a
you
little
do
bit
it.
to the
You gotta-
right
You got to
when you push
squeeze
it
the
down in
ends
there.
while you do it.
Yeah, my
and
air
then
is
kind of
different.
pop it when you got to pop it when you put it in the system, right?
So I kind of have a funny story about that. Me and our good friend Twan, we were riding somewhere. Oh, we was riding to a golf tournament, and this guy's pulled over on the side of the road, and his car, he's got his hood up, car is smoking. I think there might even been a fire, and both me and him, we don't know anything about cars, and we're like, man, wouldn't that be fun if we just pulled over, rolled down the window, and said, have you tried plugging it in and unplugging it? And then I go, have you tried blowing in the cartridge?
Yes.
to try to get it to work, right? Because that's the only way we know how to fix things.
YouTube videos of them handing a kid a Game Boy or something like that, and they're just like, what?
Yeah, it's upside down,
Right.
and they don't know where to press. And I don't know the new systems near as well as a lot of people. But what do you guys think was the best system? You mentioned the Segas. I was not a big Sega guy. It was I was more of a Nintendo guy. But what do you guys think are some of the best systems?
Nostalgic wise, I go with the regular Nintendo.
I go Super Nintendo.
Okay, but like, as far as like what was my favorite one, like when I got it like out of the box, my PlayStation 3, the 3.
I didn't have a 1, so I had a 2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4. Yeah. I think we started at 2 as well. But when I got my 3, man, that was a good day.
Well, I remember when the 1 came out. My buddy Andy worked at the movie gallery at the
Yes.
time, right?
Yeah.
And so if it didn't get rented out, he just brought it to my house, and we just played it all night long. So we didn't have
That's
to rent it or
awesome.
anything.
And no one knew until now.
And I think this just goes without saying, but never Xbox guys.
No. That
no.
controller sucks.
Yes, and what's A and B? I don't know what that is. Give me circle and square.
Right.
Yeah. So I have an opinion about it. I think, and I'm sure this has to correlate with your age and when you played it and what you got into in the games and everything. But my 2 favorite systems and what I think the best, and again, I don't know the new ones, but Super Nintendo just like took the Nintendo and just made it so much better. And then PlayStation 2 was really big for me.
Yeah. Well, Nintendo 64 was big too, because that was the first
Doom.
the first like 360 degree